Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is the Ice Nova Sorcerer. And the deal behind this build is that we'll be doing lots and lots of damage in a huge area of effect, and we'll be channeling Nova so that we're hitting 5 times a second. And we're going to be critting really hard. We can crit the training dummy for around an average of 80,000 damage per hit. 5 times a second puts you at 400,000 DPS, which is a very high DPS build. On top of that, we have other things with it for survivability, such as being able to have Elemental Nova ranged so that you can kill monsters before they even get to you, and you can have Flame Ward to give you ward. Now, it is possible to run this build with more uniques, and you can run it as a low life version. However, again, just trying to stay away from that for a few builds so that it's not so hard to put these together, and you'll be able to do it with just crafted items. Now, there will be one unique that you need, the Ashen Crown, in order for this to work. You can do a crafted helm, but Elemental Nova will instead be cast around you instead of wherever you target your mouse. But let's go ahead and get into the skills and how they work. For skills, I'm running Focus, Arcane Ascendance, Teleport, Flame Ward, and of course Elemental Nova. For Focus, this is the way that we get our mana back. You can spec this however you want. The way that I have it here is just so that we get extra mana from the burst, which you get 1 second into actually channeling it, and then of course as much mana regen as you can get, and even more per missing mana that you have to begin with. Then for Arcane Ascendance, now there's a couple of interactions on this that really help you. First, you want to work your way up and get the Tranquility and put 3 points in that. This gives you 60% global increased mana efficiency, but it makes it to where when Arcane Ascendance is active that you do not regenerate health. However, that doesn't matter because you're going to have Arcane Ascendance active and you're going to be channeling Elemental Nova at the same time, and when you channel a skill like Elemental Nova, you can't recharge or regen mana anyways, so having it cross cancel is just two of the same negatives that you already have, and therefore it's not a downside of the skill. But this will reduce the cost of channeling Elemental Nova by 60%, which means you can channel for 60% longer. And then we have more points so you get a bunch of ward on start. And then the other one you want to make sure that you get is Acuity. And this means that Arcane Ascendance no longer drains your mana, but it only lasts a certain duration. So once you activate it with just this point here, you'll have only 12 seconds of channeling time, which is plenty of time to burn through all of your mana. Then you'll deactivate it and go back to focus and recharging your mana. So Arcane Ascendance is one of those skills you're going to use at the exact same time that you're actually planning on channeling Elemental Nova. And remember, you can't move when Arcane Ascendance is active, so this is more against like rares and bosses, or when you plan on staying in one spot for a little bit. It does only have a 2-second cooldown, so it is something that you can pop on and off a lot if you really want to. However, I only used it whenever I went up against rares or bosses or something with high health. Then for Teleport, we just have it set up so that we get our decoys. So we got, our points on the top right side. And then we took the whole bottom right side so that we get the 3 Elemental Novas to go off whenever we do Teleport. This really helps clean trash mobs up when you're trying to speed run through echoes. For Flame Ward, we have it to where it's converting our Fire Aura into Cold. Now, we do this in the passive tree, or you can do this in the passive tree if you want, so you don't really have to put these points here. But we get 250% increased cold damage whenever it is active for its duration, and then we also took the 5 points of barrier for that less hit damage, so we can have some damage reduction as well to increase our survivability. And then for Elemental Nova, now for this, we obviously wanted to spec into the ice side, but we also wanted the channeling to get 5 hits per second. So we went ahead and took the right side because we also needed charge destruction. So this 9% base crit is going to get you to where you can 100% crit with the skill. We are going to put 1 point in Silent Spark, so it cancels out the whole Lightning Nova, and that way we'll only be doing ice. And then on this side, you just want to make sure you get the 3 points in Shatter Nova, so that you can get up to 120% more damage if the enemy is chilled, shocked, ignited, and frozen. Each of those are individual modifiers, so even if it's not frozen, you can still get the 90% for the other 3. And then we have 2 points in Glacial Might to increase another 28% damage. This does raise the mana cost of being able to channel. If you want to be able to channel longer, you can take these 2 points out, you'll do a little less damage, and you can throw these 2 points into Star Prism, and that will allow you to not only have it cheaper to where you can channel longer, but then you'll also reduce the cost on top of that, so that you can channel a lot longer. For passives, we have 36 points in the Mage base class. The main points that you want to make sure you get is the health and mana. This mana is going to help you break that 300 mana barrier so that you're able to get the double damage from idols. Then we have 8 points for the Arcanist. This will give you some resistance on top of the intelligence. And then we want to make sure that we get the knowledge of destruction for that critical strike chance and the critical strike multiplier. And then we worked our way up into getting the chill chance with cold skills, because having chill on the enemy as quickly as possible will improve that 30% more damage that you can do with it. For Sorcerer, our mastered class, we have 77 points. You want to make sure to throw 8 points in Calculated Destruction, because that is a huge amount of spell critical strike chance, which is going to get you really close to what you need to get to that 100% crit, and this happens right off the bat. So as soon as you get those 3 points inside Nova, that gives you the 9% base, and you team that up with this 160% increased crit, that is a huge portion of the way of your journey to 100% crit. And then to make sure that you have the 300 mana that you need for the double damage, you will have to put 10 points into Wisdom and 8 points into Mana Shell. Then of course we worked up with the natural ice damage that you're going to get. We have more chill chance with 5 points in Rolling Snow. We get more critical strike and crackling precision, and then the 5 points in Arcane Obliteration is more critical strike multiplier for you. You don't need the increased shock effect, however, this is really nice because it allows you to do more damage to the enemies. And then of course if you stun an enemy, you get increased stun duration. However, that is only with the lightning portion of the skill, so once we disable lightning, it's no longer active, but the shock effect still works. And then, of course, if you have over 200 mana, you can triple the amount of adaptive spell damage that you get from Archmage. After that, we have Spellslinger for some more adaptive spell damage, and that's going to round it up for us. For items, there's a few idols that you can wear, but the ones that I found that are the best are the ones that have percentage increased cold damage doubled if you have over 300 max mana. With these bad boys, you can end up getting 100% cold damage on each one, so look for that suffix. As for the prefix, we're not running static charges. There probably might be a better prefix that you can put on an idol, or something that, you know, gives you like more ward on potion use or ward on flame ward use, something like that. You can look around. I didn't have any, but the cold damage is what you're really after. And then, like I said, there is one unique in the build, so we are wearing the Ashen Crown. This allows you to cast Elemental Nova at the target location, so it's going to go wherever my mouse goes. If you don't have this crown, you can craft. What's nice about crafting is it will let you get plus levels to Elemental Nova, so you can put 1 or 2 more points into Elemental Nova. However, you will have to cast it around you. It'll just be tied to your body wherever your body's at. So it kind of takes that survivability away of being able to use it as far off to the side of the screen as you can get. And then for our crafted items, again, these are all inside of the gear planner, which will be linked to the forum post where the written guide is. So if you want to do the build planner, you can look at all of these on there. I'm just going to hover over all of them really quick just so that you can see it in case you want to pause the video. But I found that naming them off doesn't really do much for anybody who watches these. So that's all the items. The main things that we wanted, some channeling, we got a resist up, and then of course on the chest you get that increased spell crit over 300 max mana and the adaptive spell damage, which are both huge for the build. And then for the character sheet, as you can see, we're just about capped on resistances. Now remember, while channeling, if I go to channel here, you'll see the resistances are actually higher thanks to the relic that we have. You get 19% more to all resistances while channeling, so you're just about covered. The only one that you'll be lacking while channeling, and remember, both focus and Elemental Nova are channeling, so you'll basically always be channeling one or the other, either one to use your mana or one to get it back, so you'll have pretty much the damage reduction that you'll need. We only have 17% armor, there's no dodge in this build, and then as you can see, we're rocking almost 500% cold damage and 300% critical strike multiplier. And that brings up the one thing that I wanted to say inside of the skill tree for Elemental Nova. If you do go with the +2 points, you can actually switch your points around, get rid of the channel cost, get rid of the Glacial Might, and you can actually go into the fire side and get 140% more critical strike multiplier for only 6 points. However, that will mean that Fire Nova is activated, which means that you'll have the Ice Nova, which will be hitting harder, but you'll have a Fire Nova in there as well, which will be hitting less. So it's kind of a hit and miss which way you want to go. I haven't tested this yet. If you put the 140% critical strike multiplier on there, maybe fire hits as hard as ice is hitting now, and ice hits even harder, so it might actually be worth it. It's something that I'll test into the future of this build, but right now I just wanted to keep it purely ice. But that is something that you can look at. If you do get 2 more levels to the skill without changing too much other stuff up, you can get 4 more points here with the 1 in Arcane, 1 in Channel, and the 2 in Glacial Might, along with 2 to level to have the 2 points you need to get there, and the 4 points into it is how you could respec that. And then for skill rotation and how to play the build, I like to put Flame Ward on autocast. Now remember, Flame Ward is one of those things that can save your life when you need it most, so manually casting it when you need it is something that can definitely increase your survivability. However, for me, I am way too lazy to pay attention that hard, so I go ahead and put it on autocast. The rest of these skills you'll be manually using. So you can teleport around. When you teleport, you will get those 3 ice novas, so you'll be able to kill trash mobs. You know, they're going to be critting for, you know, a lot. Here we're critting for 30k damage, but on mobs you're doing about 4 to 8k damage on them. And then, of course, you'll focus whenever you need mana, and then you can throw down Arcane Ascendance, and you can Nova at the same time. So if you throw down Arcane Ascendance, it starts that duration of it. And then you just Elemental Nova it up, and you can see we're hitting 60, 80, 90k, all those numbers in that. And you can see we channel for quite a while. It was about 8 seconds of channeling time that you can get. And then you'll have to focus it back. A couple of focuses will get your mana back. I don't really like how slow it is, but it's kind of the only option you have, so I try not to use all of my mana at once. But as you can see, you're at 100% crit with this. Every one of those is a critical strike. You're hitting for a lot of damage, and it's just going to absolutely wipe everything that you do. And then you can teleport to, you know, speed run through the echoes. You can Arcane and Elemental Nova to clear the bosses. It's a really nice setup, and it is really powerful and hits really hard. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys some more gameplay. Hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to stay safe, travelers.